In the fairy tale criminal justice system, citizens are represented by two equally important groups: the prosecution, who ensures order, and the defense attorneys, who uphold the rights of the accused. These are their stories.
Members of the jury, we are gathered here today in Fairytale Criminal Court to consider the most grave and solemn of accusations. The defendant, Snow White, stands charged with murder in the first degree. Specifically, the prosecution alleges that she intentionally poisoned the evil queen, resulting in her death. As jurors, you bear the sacred duty of carefully considering the evidence and rendering a just verdict based solely on that evidence. The future of the defendant rests in your hands. Counselors, you may proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, an egregious offence has stained the honour of the fairy tale land. We are convened today to confront a crime as chilling as the longest winter, one that speaks of betrayal, of long-festering animosity culminating in the ultimate act of violence. On the night of the Enchanted Kingdom's annual royal ball, beneath the facade of celebration, a sinister act unfolded. Snow White, driven by years of bitterness, resentment, and humiliation, entered the evil queen's private bedchamber, armed with the deadliest of weapons, a poisoned apple. The prosecution will demonstrate through undeniable eyewitness testimony that Snow White deliberately poisoned the evil queen, leading to her cowardly demise. We will lay bare a history of hostility, including her well-documented feud with the victim. This trial is not about fairy tales or bedtime stories. It is about justice. The evidence will show, beyond any shadow of doubt, that it was Snow White and Snow White alone who delivered that fatal fruit, silencing her rival forever. Justice must and will prevail.
Hi, good day, everyone. Jury, Judge Madea, ma'am. Wow, big chair. Okay, so, I'm Jerry, and I'm, representing Snow White, who, just for the record, is, like, super not guilty. We're pretty clear on that, I think. Mostly. Now, that other lawyer, Ms. Stark, very dramatic. Lots of honor and winter and, egregious. Big words. I even had to look that one up. Sounded like she was auditioning for a really serious play about, like, sad kings or something.
Objection. Your Honour, counsel is making improper personal remarks about the prosecution. His opening statement should address the evidence, or lack thereof, pertaining to his client and only his client.
Objection sustained. Jerry Sugar, you know the rules. Try to focus on Snow White and not your feelings about Mrs. Stark's dramatic skills.
But she's just so intimidating.
Objection.
Jerry!
Yes, right, rules. Of course. Noted. Less feelings, more defending. Look, what happened at the royal ball was obviously tragic. Nobody's denying that. No one's like pro-poison apple here. Obviously. But listen, folks, let's not jump to any hasty conclusions, because the truth, the real truth, is complicated. Or maybe it's simple, and we just haven't figured it out yet, and that's pretty tough, especially when you're, like, famous, like Snow White. They're gonna talk about motive. And, okay, maybe Snow White and the evil queen weren't total besties. Maybe they didn't, exchange friendship bracelets, and maybe they had their disagreements, like who got to live in the castle and who had to live in the woods. Normal kingdom stuff. But does that mean murder? That's a huge leap. Like over a dragon. Huge. Metaphorically. And this ball. Everyone was there. Everyone. It's like if something bad happens at a party, you don't just go blaming the person whose name sounds most like a weather condition. You gotta look at all the party goers, because frankly, the evil queen wasn't exactly Miss Popularity. There weren't a lot of people sending her get well soon cards, if you catch my drift. Like that mermaid lady, she always seemed a bit shifty to me. With those shells, and Cinderella, she had that whole shoe thing. Could be a motive? Maybe not? but that's what we're here to discuss.
Objection. Your Honor, that is not what we're here to discuss. Counsel is engaging in wild speculation about individuals not on trial and offering no basis in evidence. The deceased's general popularity or lack thereof is not evidence, nor is it relevant unless counsel can connect it to a specific alternative perpetrator with actual proof. This is irrelevant and frankly grossly prejudicial.
Sustained on all counts. Jerry, Pumpkin, are you trying to give Ms. Stark an aneurysm before lunch? Either tell this jury what evidence you actually have that points away from Snow White or move on to your next point.
Admissible points, right? Very important. Okay, my point is, there were other people there at the ball who maybe didn't like the Queen. That's a fact, right? People were there.
Barely. Proceed, counsel, and try to build a bridge to relevance sometime this century.
Look, all we ask is that you just keep an open mind, like a really open mind. Because honestly, this is all just a totally normal, totally reasonable, big misunderstanding. And the real killer, the one that's not Snow White, is still out there. Somewhere.
Objection, Your Honor. Defense counsel's claim of a real killer is baseless, unsupported speculation. This statement is an improper attempt to mislead my jury and prejudice their understanding of the facts. I request his entire opening statement be stricken from the record.
Ms. Stark, I appreciate your zeal, and believe me, I sympathize. Objection to the real killer comment is sustained. Jury, ignore that. But striking his whole speech? Honey, if I start striking every foolish thing Jerry says, we'll never finish this trial. Request denied. All right then, prosecution, you may call your first witness.
Don't worry, we got this.
Please state your full name and occupation for the record.
Cinderella. Princess Cinderella. But most people just call me Cindy now. I'm retired from, scrubbing floors. These days I'm mostly just attending balls, charity events, state-hosted dinners, and, being excellent to my many subjects.
Thank you. Cindy, were you present at the Enchanted Kingdom's royal ball on the night the evil queen died?
Yeah, totally. It was a big event. Anybody who's anybody was there. It was festive.
And did you see the defendant, Snow White, at this ball?
Yeah, she was there, definitely. Kinda hard to miss. Very intense aura. Not really vibing with the whole, happily ever after theme of the evening.
And how would you classify Snow White's demeanor that evening?
She seemed perturbed. Like deeply perturbed. Like she knew kung fu, but for feelings. And she was about to use it. On someone.
Someone?
Objection, Your Honor. Someone could be anybody. How does he know who someone is if she hasn't said who someone is yet?
Jerry, counsel is asking the witness to identify the someones he just mentioned. That's called direct examination. It's how trials work overruled.
Good point, Your Honor.
Cindy, to whom did Snow White's perturbed demeanor appear to be directed?
Oh, right. Mostly the evil queen, I'd say. There was some serious ocular pat-down action taking place. And I don't mean the hot kind. Very focused, like a laser beam. But with her eyes.
Can you recall specifically what happened at midnight?
Absolutely. I was involved in a conversation with Prince Zendaya. It was getting, pretty serious, but I had to go. Midnight's always been, kind of a big deal for me. Old habits, I guess. So as soon as the clock struck 12, I bounced.
Did you see the evil queen on your way out?
Yeah, I saw her in the hall. She left early, too, and was going back to her bedchambers.
Objection! How does Cinderella know she was going to her bedchambers? Maybe she was going to the Royal Library, or the Dungeon Snack Bar. That's pure speculation.
Jerry, baby, while your enthusiasm is noted, that objection is called cross-examination, and we're not up to that part yet.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Do you have maybe another objection, a more procedural objection, perhaps regarding the foundation of the witness's last statement?
Objection. Lack of foundation?
Your Honor, defense counsel just received improper coaching from the bench. I object to your assistance.
Mrs. Stark, do I look like I'm wearing a bad motherfucker t-shirt to you? Sustained on lack of foundation. Counsel, please clarify how Cinderella knew where the queen was headed, and Jerry, get your objections straight.
This is going well.
Cinderella,
She was holding the key to her bedroom in her hand.
how can you be sure it was the key to her bedroom?
I guess, actually, I'm not sure.
Boom.
But when she took it out of her pocket, she said, "I'm going back to my room. Oh, right, the key. Oh, wait, here it is."
And do you know where Snow White was at that very moment?
Yeah, she was standing in a hallway just outside the ballroom, in the shadows, you know? Very stealth mode. Like if you've ever seen someone trying really hard not to be seen. Snow was crushing it, but I definitely saw her, because I see everything.
It sounds like you got a good look at Snow White. Was she holding anything?
Oh yeah, definitely. She was holding a basket, with apples, red ones, lots of apples. Which looking back seems kind of relevant considering the whole poisoned apple situation.
And was Snow White doing anything unusual as the Queen walked past?
No, not really. But she had this look in her eye, like that time I lost my dog. It made me run away faster.
To be clear, Cindy, at midnight you saw Snow White hiding in the hallway, holding a basket of apples, watching the evil queen leave the ballroom alone. Is that correct?
Wow. When you put it like that, kinda seems like she did it.
Your witness.
Your Honor, before I begin cross-examining Princess Cinderella, I just want to check if there's any, types of questions I definitely shouldn't ask. I'm aiming for, 0 objections this round. Less, if possible.
Jerry, sweetheart, questions end with question marks. Objections end with me wishing I'd retired early. You'll figure it out. Proceed.
Right, great, thanks. Okay, Cindy, you were definitely at the ball, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of what my whole testimony was about.
Excellent, good start. And you said earlier you see everything, right?
Totally. Like observationally speaking.
So would you describe your eyesight as superhuman? Say, eagle level?
I mean, metaphorically eagle-like maybe, but literally just human level. Regular, normal eyeballs.
Interesting. So to clarify, you don't have eagle eyes.
Objection, relevance.
Your Honor, it's highly relevant. The witness claims she sees everything. I'm just establishing the parameters of that everything. If her vision isn't literally eagle-like, or enhanced by some sort of Kryptonian biology, then maybe she didn't see everything as clearly as she thinks. It goes to her credibility as a seer of things.
Objection overruled. I'm giving you about 5 seconds of leash here, Jerry.
Thank you, Your Honor. Cindy, earlier you said you saw the evil queen holding her room key, correct?
Yeah, she said it was her key. Out loud. So it seemed pretty clear.
Right, but you admitted yourself you didn't actually identify the key. So isn't it possible it wasn't her key at all? Maybe it was a decorative key or a commemorative souvenir key?
I mean, I guess it could have been. But again, she literally said, "I'm going back to my room. Here's my key," while holding it. So probably just her actual key.
Objection! Speculation.
You can't object to your own line of questioning, counselor.
Right, totally knew that. Withdrawn, I guess. Okay, moving on. Cindy, you described Snow White as being in stealth mode. Are you an expert in stealth activities?
Objection, relevance.
Your Honor, if the witness isn't a certified stealthologist, stealthographer, stealthician, then how can we trust her assessment of stealthy behavior?
Overruled, narrowly. Cindy, answer the question, please.
I mean, I don't have a stealth diploma, if that's what you're asking.
So you have no formal ninja training?
No, but Snow White was literally hiding in the shadows behind a curtain. That seemed pretty stealthy.
In the shadows? Interesting choice of words. So, you're essentially guessing Snow White's intentions based purely on shadow placement. Shadows can be very tricky. Deceptive, even. Have you ever tried to make a shadow puppet?
Yes.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever played hide and seek?
Sure, all the time.
And when playing, have you ever hidden in the shadows?
Once or twice, I guess.
So isn't it possible Snow White was just innocently playing hide and seek, harmlessly?
I guess that's possible, but she looked super intense. Not really like she was having fun. More like she was, lurking. Ominously.
So you didn't actually see Snow White hand the queen an apple, did you? All you saw was her lurking ominously holding apples at midnight near the queen's chambers, intensely staring at her?
Yeah, exactly. That's literally what I saw. Perfect summary.
No further questions.
Please state your full name and current title for the record.
I'm once, twice, 2 times a princess, formerly under the sea in Atlantica, now living large on dry land in Terulia. Got myself a prince, a castle, the whole shebang.
Princess Ariel, you attended the royal ball on the night of the evil queen's death, correct?
You bet your ass I did. Real swanky place. Lots of royalty. Everybody dressed like they had money for sure. And I'm talking old money, not the dinglehopper kind.
And you were familiar with the deceased, the evil queen?
Familiar? Ha! That battle axe and I go way back. She was a real nightmare in designer gowns. Nasty habit of ruining people's lives, mine included.
Could you elaborate on that?
Gladly. That frigid harpy torpedoed my whole operation. I had a perfectly legitimate import-export thing going with this octopus lady named Ursula. Totally above board. I scratch your fins, you scratch mine, that sort of thing. And the queen, with her snooping mirror, had to go blabbing to the Royal Commerce Guild, leaks the whole deal publicly, exposes my trade secrets, totally screws me over. My reputation, shot to hell, cost me a fortune.
So the evil queen financially and reputationally damaged you?
You know how hard it is to bounce back from that kind of press? It's like trying to sell ice to an Eskimo after they found out your ice is just frozen sewer water. I had to sell half my dinglehopper collection just to stay afloat.
And you held a significant grievance against the evil queen due to these financial losses, is that right?
Objection, Your Honor! This line of questioning clearly shows that Princess Ariel had ample reason to want the evil queen dead, but she's not the one on trial here. I demand it be stricken from the record!
Jerry, are you sure you want to object to the prosecution demonstrating other parties had motive to kill the evil queen?
Oh, well, when you put it that way, objection withdrawn.
Princess Ariel?
I despised her with every fish bone in my body.
Did you ever consider physically harming the evil queen?
Hey, come on. I'm a princess, not a mob boss. My methods were strictly verbal. Maybe some aggressive tweets and public shaming, but I'd never poison anybody. Who's got time for poison apples anyway? I'd just take her to court. I'm very litigious.
So, despite your vendetta, you didn't plan on murdering her?
Look, losing a few dinglehoppers hurt ain't exactly murder the bitch hurt. Besides, it's not my style. Too much cleanup. Let the lawyers handle the dirty work.
In contrast, Snow White stood to inherit an entire kingdom upon the evil queen's death. Would you agree that's a significantly stronger motive than yours?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading the witness.
Sustained.
Princess Ariel, who stood to gain more from the evil queen's demise, you or Snow White?
Snow White, hands down. She was sitting pretty. Just one bad apple away from becoming queen of the whole damn kingdom.
You're saying Snow White stood to inherit everything? The kingdom, the power, the fortune upon the evil queen's death?
Objection. Speculative. Ariel couldn't possibly know the intricate details of royal succession for another kingdom.
Your Honor, Princess Ariel is herself royalty in 2 different kingdoms and would be reasonably aware of the primary lines of succession in neighbouring diplomatic states, especially one as prominent as this. Furthermore, the defendant's status as the king's only child is a widely known fact. This is not speculation, it's context.
Overruled. Princess Ariel, you may answer the question based only on your understanding of the kingdom's general state of affairs.
Yeah, like I said, jackpot. The kid was set to go from rags to riches, literally. One dead queen. And boom, she's top fish in the pond. Everyone knew that. It ain't rocket science, it's royalty. Snow was talking about it all night.
All night? You mean at the ball?
Yeah. Snow White was at the bar, nursing a white Russian, saying stuff like, "Come hell or high water, that crown is mine."
Princess Ariel, I must remind you that you're under oath. Are you saying that you personally heard Snow White explicitly referencing her intent to take the throne?
Loud and clear. She even toasted like, "To reclaiming my birthright." And something about that whore's days being motherfucking numbered.
And by that whore, you believe she was referring to the evil queen?
Objection, Your Honor. Anybody can be a whore. Even I know that.
Sustained.
Did Snow White make any direct mention of the evil queen specifically?
Oh, hell yeah. Someone at the bar asked her straight out, "Who are you talking about?" And she said, "The evil queen." And finished her drink, then said, "That problem is about to solve itself. Permanently." I nearly spit out my champagne. Nearly. Not at 500 gold pieces a bottle.
No further questions.
Princess Ariel, you've admitted to numerous, but let's call them ethically flexible business ventures, correct? With, octopi and whatnot?
Ethically flexible. Honey, I was an innovator. A disruptor of the undersea economy. You gotta break a few clams to make an omelet, you know? What's your point, ambulance chaser?
My point is, can we really trust the word of someone who consorts with cephalopods for profit?
Argumentative, and counsel is insulting the witness.
Sustained. Jerry, try to stick to questioning her testimony.
You testified earlier about drinking champagne valued at 500 gold pieces per bottle. Is that correct?
Yeah, good stuff. Got a cellar full of it back home. You should try it sometime. Really loosens you up.
So would you say you were intoxicated?
Just a little buzzed. Enough to make conversation interesting.
Interesting. So, your memory of what Snow White said might not be entirely reliable?
Hey, I said I was buzzed, not blacked out. Champagne doesn't erase your memory. It enhances it. That's scientifically proven.
I don't think that's how alcohol works. Was there music, people chattering, lots of clinking chalices? Sounds like a lot of activity.
Yeah, it was a bash.
And how far away from Snow White were you?
I don't know, like 15 feet, maybe 20. Look, my ears work great. I lived underwater. Sound carries. I'm practically a bat.
I don't think that's how that works either. Princess Ariel, do you even know how anything works?
Objection. Relevance.
Oh, it's extremely relevant to the defense, Your Honor.
Overruled. You may proceed cautiously.
Princess Ariel, isn't it true you previously referred to common forks as dinglehoppers?
It's a pet name.
But isn't it also true you also believed they were used for combing hair and not for eating, which is the custom on land?
That dinglehopper thing was early days. I was new to the whole leg situation. It's a perfectly good hair untangler. What are you anyway? The fork police. You got a PhD in cutlery, pal?
My point, Your Highness, is that if you can be so fundamentally mistaken about something as simple as a fork, how can this jury possibly trust your interpretation of complex royal succession laws for a kingdom that isn't even yours? Or your perfect recollection of alleged threats overheard at a loud party while you were, by your own admission, buzzed?
Fine, so silverware ain't my strong suit. But royalty? I'm 2 kingdoms deep, pal. How many castles you got?
I don't need a castle to know that forks aren't hairbrushes.
Oh, here we go again. Mister, I went to land school, so I know everything about forks.
At least I know you don't comb hair with them.
Well, at least I ain't making a mockery of the legal system by representing a poison-happy princess.
She's not poison-happy. She's innocent.
Yeah, and I'm the Queen of Neptune. Get real, counselor. She accused herself. You blowfish. I'm just reporting the facts.
Facts? You want to talk about facts? You couldn't identify a dinglehopper from a hole in the ground.
Oh, that's rich. You couldn't lawyer your way out of a wet paper bag.
You take that back.
Enough, Jerry, Princess Ariel. If you two want to keep bickering like an old married couple, do it outside my courtroom. This is a murder trial, not couples therapy. Mrs. Stark, do you have anything to add
You're
here?
sinking faster than my old trading
Oh, yeah.
ships.
Well, I've
Nothing
cross-examined
at all,
oysters
Your
smarter
Honor.
than
I'm
you.
You
perfectly
wouldn't recognize a good
satisfied.
legal argument if it slapped your cheap tie.
State your name and occupation for the record, please.
Little Red Riding Hood, yes, that's my actual legal name. I'm the CEO and head cookie dealer of Little Red's Righteous Rounds. We talking high-end gingerbread, premium snickerdoodles.
Miss Hood, would you say your unique line of work requires a high degree of situational awareness?
You ain't lying. It's a dangerous forest out there. Everybody's after your crumbs. If you can't tell a grifter from a grandma, and sometimes they one and the same, believe me, you end up as part of someone else's hustle. My senses are sharp. They gotta be.
With this expertise in spotting danger, did anything or anyone at the Royal Ball particularly catch your attention?
Oh yeah, Snow White. She stood out like a wolf at a bake sale. That girl had trouble written all over her. She was nervous, right? Twitchy. Kept glancing around, eyes darting like she was expecting something. Had this basket of apples, real shiny, real tempting. And every time someone mentioned the Queen, she squeezed those apples like she was juicing
You
revenge.
sound very sure of yourself. Had you met Snow White prior to the Royal Ball?
Yeah, peripherally. The dwarves, her roommates, are big fans of my Miners Munchies cookie line.
Did you ever interact with her on cookie deliveries, perhaps?
Yes, she was always around, singing or dancing, very princessy.
Is that how you would characterize her? A happy and joyful princess?
Nah, I mean, yeah, for the most part, but she always seemed on edge, like a deer who heard a twig snap, scared, but with a flicker of something stubborn underneath.
And at the Royal Ball, did she present this same on-edge demeanor?
Nah, she was on a whole nother playbook that night. She wasn't a deer no more like a panther, you know, stalking. Every move was deliberate, always scanning the room, not for an exit, but for an opportunity.
And with your pre-established penchant for astuteness, is there anything particularly noteworthy you observed about her that evening?
Yeah, one thing comes to mind.
And what might that be?
It was round 10, like just as they were handing out plates of cake, so everybody had a fork or a knife, and the evil queen walked past and gave Snow a little bit of that famous side eye of hers, and boy was she pissed.
What makes you say that? How can you be so sure Snow White was angry?
Well, I can't be totally sure, but she held up her knife, pointed it at the evil queen and said, "One of these days I'm gonna kill that bitch dead. Stone, cold, dead."
Objection, Your Honor.
On what grounds?
This is absolutely devastating to my client.
Mr. Jerry, while your emotional assessment of the testimony's impact is noted, do you have an actual objection?
No, Your Honor. Just the devastating part. Very devastating.
Then I'm afraid the devastating part stands. Overruled. Ms. Stark, you may proceed.
No more questions, Your Honor.
I'm so sorry. I thought this was going way better, but don't worry. We can still turn this around. I have a plan.
Mr. Jerry, your witness.
Mr. Hood. I mean, Ms. Hood. Little Red.
Yeah, spit it out. I got cookies waiting.
Actually, you know what? No questions. None at all. The defense is good with what we heard.
Are you sure, Jerry?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm positive.
All right then, Ms. Hood, you may step down and perhaps send a sample of those Oblivion brownies to my chambers later.
What can I say? She terrifies me.
Please state your name and occupation.
Hold on now, Counselor Stark. Due to certain unusual circumstances, I'm gonna handle the introductions here. Members of the jury, our next witness is the esteemed fairy godmother, known across numerous kingdoms for magical interventions, royal consultations, and an alarming amount of glitter. However, I must inform you all that she has undertaken a sacred vow of silence for... For let's just say deeply personal and sparkly reasons. She'll communicate yes with a distinct magical bell chime, like this. And no with a profound and hopefully not too judgmental silence. Counselors, I will be providing you extended leeway for leading questions due to this format. But hear me clearly. Do not test me. If either of you tries to abuse my generosity, you'll be wishing for a pumpkin carriage to spirit you away before I get my hands on you. I want verbal confirmation you both understand.
Perfectly, Your Honor.
Objection!
Are you objecting to me, Mr. Jerry? This ought to be good. On what conceivable grounds?
On the grounds of Confrontation Clause. Sixth Amendment. My client has the right to confront her accusers. How can we, as stewards of the law, effectively examine a witness who only communicates with festive jingles and stony silence? It fundamentally prejudices our ability to impeach credibility or explore the nuances of her testimony. Furthermore, you implied the extraordinary credibility of the fairy godmother within your introduction. As per Fairyland versus Pinocchio, the bench should maintain neutrality, and respectfully, Your Honor, you just crossed that line.
Your Honor, if I may. While the method is unconventional, the witness is present. The defense will have ample opportunity to pose yes or no questions. The veracity of bell chimes versus verbal testimony under oath is a matter for the jury to weigh, but it doesn't negate the act of confrontation itself. Many forms of non-verbal testimony have been accepted.
Mr. Jerry, that is surprisingly a well-articulated and legitimate legal point. I'm almost proud. Almost. Overruled. But consider yourself noted for a rare display of actual legal acumen. Don't let it go to your head.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you see that? I may have lost, but I lost brilliantly.
You may proceed, Mrs. Stark.
Fairy godmother, you are indeed the widely respected magical advisor to many prominent figures in this kingdom and beyond, are you not? And you have served in such a capacity for many years, offering counsel and transformative solutions. And did you have what could be described as a contentious relationship with the deceased, the evil queen? And was this contention due, at least in part, to certain public allegations the evil queen had levelled against your professional conduct? Specifically, allegations she termed, and I quote, magical malpractice, correct?
Oh, here we go with the malpractice again. Let me guess, she was operating without a magic license too.
Mr. Jerry, inside voice or outside in the hallway.
Sorry, Your Honor.
And these allegations, regardless of their ultimate veracity, would you say they were damaging to your esteemed reputation? Did this situation significantly contribute to your negative feelings toward the evil queen? Now, fairy godmother, did the defendant, Snow White, approach you in the weeks or months prior to the royal ball to discuss strategies for dealing with the evil queen? And during these consultations, did Snow White ever express significant hostility or profound anger regarding the evil queen's past actions against her? And finally, fairy godmother, to be absolutely clear, for the record, did you at any point directly assist Snow White in any magical plan, enchantment, or potion specifically intended to cause harm to the evil queen? Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
No bell on that last one. That's good, right? Or is silence bad? This bell thing is a minefield!
Mr. Jerry, your witness.
Fairy godmother. You stated earlier, via jingle, that the evil queen's allegations of magical malpractice caused you significant negative feelings, correct? And these feelings, but they were strong feelings, wouldn't you say? Like really, really strong. I wouldn't invite her to my pixie dust potluck kind of strong. 2 for 2. Great start. So you were pretty steamed at the Queen? Understandable. Now, when Snow White came to you for these consultations, and you say she expressed hostility and anger, are you sure all that anger was directed solely at the evil Queen? But couldn't she have been angry about other things too? Like maybe the dwarves left their dirty socks all over the cottage again? Or maybe the Wi-Fi in the enchanted forest is notoriously unreliable, especially for streaming princess tutorials. So it's possible, right, that she was just generally frustrated, and you, being so focused on your own issues with the evil Queen, just assumed all Snow White's anger was evil Queen related? Uh-huh. So yes. Wait, hold on. Which was that yes for? Was it the socks or the Wi-Fi, or was it my genius theory about you projecting your anti-Queen vibes onto Snow White? That was like 3 questions in 1. Can you jingle for each part? 1 jingle for socks, 2 for Wi-Fi, and 3 for projective bias. Okay, see, that jingle didn't help. I asked a lot of things again. Can we establish clarity here? Fairy godmother, just ring once if Snow White was angry about dwarf socks, and twice if it was the Wi-Fi. Wait, was silence a no to both? Or was it you refusing to answer? Or maybe you're just confused because I mentioned socks and Wi-Fi together again. Oh, now we're jingling again. Was that a yes to confusion? Or yes to socks and Wi-Fi frustration? Your Honor, permission to treat the witness as hostile.
Jerry, just stick to simple, singular, yes or no questions.
Fine. Fairy godmother, did you believe Snow White's anger at the evil Queen to be genuine? And did you genuinely believe Snow White intended to harm the evil Queen at that time? No bell? Interesting. So, you admit Snow White did not explicitly reveal harmful intent? Wait, what? Hold on. Was that yes to no harmful intent? Or are you now contradicting your earlier silence? Or are you suggesting the harmful intent came later? That was 3 jingles. 3! Is that even an option? What does 3 jingles even mean? Your Honor, this is impossible. I'm literally arguing with a wind chime. How can I possibly be expected to defend my client against celestial bells?
Mr. Jerry, this is your chosen profession. Please don't make me regret mine.
Fairy godmother, let's simplify. Did you want the evil Queen gone? Because of the magical malpractice accusations. Of course, it's understandable. I mean, who wouldn't get a little miffed if someone accused them of being a dangerous magical fraud? It's not like the rumors and accusations were true or anything, right? It's not like you actually turned some poor prince into a newt for 3 weeks, botched the reversal, and covered it up with a memory charm, am I right? Wait, fairy godmother, that wasn't a real question. That was rhetorical sarcasm. You didn't actually... Hold on! Are you saying those magical malpractice accusations were actually true?
Order! Order! I will have order in this courtroom. Fairy godmother, do not ring that bell again. Bailiff, secure the bell. Counselors, my chambers now.
Wait, did I just win the case?
Not another word, Mr. Jerry. Chambers, immediately.
In my defense, sarcasm has never been my strong suit.
Close the door, counselors, and take a seat. Miss Stark, perhaps you can enlighten me as to why a crucial piece of impeachment evidence involving your witness was not disclosed to this court.
Your Honor.
Don't you, Your Honor, me. Explain yourself.
The allegations were public, but unsubstantiated. I had no definitive, verified proof that the more extreme claims of magical malfeasance were based in fact. My intention was to present all known associates and—
Unsubstantiated? Counselor, did it not occur to you in your prosecutorial due diligence to perhaps ask your bell-ringing star witness before putting her on the stand in a murder trial if the very serious accusations the victim was leveling against her were, in fact, true? Does the term Brady violation mean anything to you? The duty to disclose exculpatory evidence?
Exactly, Your Honor. Those allegations were floating around like bad spells in a wizard duel. They should have deposed her properly. Used a truth spell or a singing harp that only sings true notes. This is negligence, or at least magical laziness.
Respectfully, Your Honor, Brady doesn't obligate the prosecution to become magical inquisitors based on every fantastical rumor. The fairy godmother did not confess this to me pre-trial. I cannot be expected to disclose what I do not definitively know. Furthermore, the defense had access to the same public rumors. If they felt these claims were so pertinent, they could have conducted their own investigation instead of relying on courtroom theatrics.
Well, I mean, that's technically true, but prosecutors have greater resources and responsibilities for disclosure. I didn't think the fairy godmother would openly admit anything like this. How could I?
Regardless of your shared neglect, we now have a witness whose credibility just got shot to 1,000 sparkly pieces. The fairy godmother possesses a massive, undisclosed motive for wanting the queen gone, and who might even be an alternative suspect. Let's clarify this plainly. Miss Stark, while Mr. Jerry's argument about your investigative diligence may be legally weak, he's not entirely wrong from a practical standpoint. Public allegations of this magnitude deserve deeper pretrial scrutiny. Your lack of thoroughness has placed us all in a difficult position today.
Understood, Your Honor. It was a serious oversight and it won't happen again.
I trust it won't, because the credibility of this court and the fairness of this trial depend heavily on you fulfilling your responsibilities scrupulously. Consider this your only warning. Any further indication of suppressed evidence or lack of candor regarding your witnesses, and we'll be discussing sanctions that'd make your tiara tarnish. Is that clear?
Perfectly clear, Your Honor.
Members of the jury, due to the emergence of previously undisclosed material information which fundamentally impacts the credibility and potential bias of the witness who just testified, this court hereby rules that the entire testimony of the fairy godmother is to be stricken from the record. You are to disregard everything you heard or thought you heard from this witness. Every silence, every sparkle, every jingle. It is as if this witness never took the stand. Fairy godmother, you're excused from the stand. Counselor Stark, please call your next witness.
You'd have told me if you did it, right?
Please state your name and occupation for the record.
You can call me Doc, physician, geologist, logician, leader, and general caretaker of a 7-dwarf facility.
Dr. Duck.
Doc, not doctor. Just Doc.
Doc, you and your 6 brothers provide shelter for the defendant, Snow White, and have for a significant period. Is that correct?
Indeed. A humanitarian endeavor. She is a most pleasant house guest, always singing, very tidy.
And during her stay, has Snow White ever discussed the evil queen with you or anyone in your presence?
Well, naturally the subject arose. It would be odd if it hadn't. given the circumstances of her arrival.
And what was the nature of these discussions? Specifically, what was Snow White's expressed attitude or emotional state regarding the evil queen?
Oh, she was very understanding, very forgiving. She'd always say, bless her heart. The queen's probably just stressed from all that ruling. Maybe she needs a spa day. Never a harsh word. Always turning the other cheek, that one. A real saint.
In your sworn statement, you described Snow White as, and I quote, extremely angry, expressing an intent to reclaim her throne and settle things with the Queen via retribution. Do you recall saying that?
Retribution? Goodness, no. Not our Snow White. She's all about peace, love, and apple pies. She said the Queen just needed a good hug. They do tend to solve most interpersonal conflicts.
Doc, I must remind you that you are under oath. Are you now saying Snow White never expressed anger or any desire for revenge?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Not only is Snow White the sweetest person I've ever met, she is completely innocent of these heinous charges and should be completely exonerated.
Request permission to approach, Your Honor.
Granted. Both counsels, please.
Your Honor, this witness is directly contradicting every substantive point from his pre-trial deposition and interview. I believe he is being deliberately untruthful, and I request leave to treat him as a hostile witness.
Hostile, but he's saying great things for Snow White. He's making her sound like a saintly pacifist with a pie fetish. This is the best witness we've had all day.
Your request to treat the witness as hostile is granted. Mr. Jerry, sit down.
Doc, in your deposition, you previously described Snow White's demeanor towards the evil queen as explicitly hostile. Is that correct?
I suppose. I must have been mistaken.
Did she or did she not express anger over being kicked out of the castle?
I don't think kicked out is a fair way of putting it.
Your own sworn testimony states she said, and I quote, "That murderous bitch will pay for what she's done. I'll see her ruined and that throne will be mine." Did you or did you not make that statement?
Ruined is such a strong word.
Was that your statement? Yes or no?
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
You are known for your intellect and your meticulous notes, aren't you, Doc? Or am I wrong?
Yes, that's what they say about me.
And you're best known for your groundbreaking work on crystalline structures, is that right?
Of course, that's what I'm known for.
Your treatise on geode extraction is over 4,000 pages, with nearly 200 footnotes chronicling 3 centuries of mining expertise. And yet you expect us to believe you can't remember a statement you made 1 week ago.
I don't know. I must be confused.
What is the primary elemental composition of a standard grade diamond?
Magic. Pure, happy rainbow magic. And probably some glitter.
Let the record show that the correct answer is carbon.
Objection.
Overruled.
But I didn't get to say why I was objecting.
Overruled.
You're not really Doc. Are you?
All right, fine. I'm not Doc.
You need to leave.
I'm happy. 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 I'm happy.
Order. Order.
Doc couldn't make it.
Order. Order.
Too busy counting his gem collection.
Order. I will have order
Just
in
wanted
this
to help
court.
Snow White. She's always so nice to me. So I thought I'd help. We look so alike. And nobody ever notices, so I figured it'd be fine.
Order, order. Happy you are in contempt of this court. Bailiff, escort him to a holding cell. Order! I will have order! Miss Stark, how is it that you've called yet another compromised witness to my courtroom?
Your Honor, I had no reason to believe...
Your witness committed perjury. Perjury, Miss Stark, on my stand. By a dwarf you presented as a pillar of subterranean intellect. We are dangerously close to a mistrial here.
Your Honor, I assure you, this was as much a surprise to me as it was to the court. The witness who appeared had presented himself as Doc. Their physical resemblance is considerable, and his initial answers, while perhaps overly benevolent, did not immediately indicate outright deception of identity.
Yeah, he seemed like a really nice doc at first. Very pro-Snow White. I thought we were finally catching a break.
Considerable resemblance is not an excuse for failing to verify the identity of a key witness in a murder trial. This isn't a costume party where you just hope the right dwarf shows up.
Understood, Your Honor. I accept full responsibility and apologize unreservedly, and I'll dispatch the Royal Guard to the dwarves' residence immediately to ascertain Doc's whereabouts. This impersonation is an outrageous obstruction.
You do that because right now the integrity of this trial is hanging by a thread made of dwarf beard hair. That's 2 key prosecution witnesses down, Miss Stark. 2, are you even trying to convict this woman, or are you secretly working for the defense on a pro bono basis?
Your Honor, I am prosecuting this case to the best of my ability, with the evidence and witnesses available. This kingdom is a procedural nightmare.
I don't know. I kind of like it.
Here's what's going to happen. We go back out there. I instruct the jury that Happy's testimony will be stricken in its entirety. The jury will be instructed to disregard every word. And you, Miss Stark, will call your next witness. And if that witness turns out to be a squirrel in a wig, we will have that mistrial I'm painstakingly trying to avoid. And then I'll take a very long, very necessary vacation to a land where the only talking animals are in professionally produced animated features. Are we on the same page of this very tattered storybook?
Yes, Your Honor.
A squirrel in a wig? I should write that down.
Miss Stark, please call your next witness.
Your Honor, the people call the magic mirror to the stand. Magic mirror on the stand. Please state your name and occupation for the court.
I'm the magic mirror with grade A clout, and I serve it straight. That's what I'm about.
And by serving it straight, you mean that you answer every direct question truthfully. Is that correct?
Truth's my vibe. No cap or sus. Can't eat a lie. All bets, no fuss.
Your powers grant you perception beyond physical boundaries, correct? You're capable of clearly perceiving events no matter where they occur within the kingdom?
My vision's bussin', I peep whole scenes. Skibbity vibes. I know what they mean.
Just to clarify further, can walls, doors, or locked rooms obstruct your ability to see the truth?
No wall, no door, nor lock stops me. My Sigma Flex got mad fools salty.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance? We're spending an awful lot of time discussing the magic mirror's voyeuristic tendencies.
Your Honour, I'm simply trying to establish the witness's magical accuracy and capabilities. It is absolutely vital, both to his credibility and the prosecution's case.
How do we even know he's telling the truth? Anybody can say they see everything. I could say I had a heart-to-heart with the talking squirrel this morning who told me Snow White is innocent, but that doesn't make it admissible, does it? It doesn't. Does it?
While I'm inclined to believe a magical artifact of such legendary renown, a practical demonstration of its abilities doesn't seem uncalled for. Magic Mirror, are you amenable to a brief test of your truth-discerning faculties?
A little test? Bet. Say no more. My truth slaps hard. It ain't no chore.
Your Honor, if I may? Magic Mirror on the stand. What song did I sing in the shower this morning?
Aqua's your jam, you can't resist. I'm a Barbie girl, if you insist.
The defense is satisfied. You caught me on a Wednesday. I usually prefer power ballads.
Very well. Counselor, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honour. Magic Mirror in all of your eons of existence, reflecting the truths of this kingdom and beyond, has any individual, king or commoner, wizard or woodsman, ever successfully disputed one of your pronouncements? Has your sight or knowledge ever once been proven fallible or incorrect?
My record's clean, my tea spills true. Never took one L. How about you?
So, to be unequivocally clear, your revelations are, by your very nature, beyond reproach and irrefutably accurate?
No ick, no shade, I never fold. I'm the OG goat. My word is gold.
Objection, Your Honor. I'm getting deja vu here.
Miss Stark, we've already established the Magic Mirror's credibility. Do you have a question for your witness that pertains to this case or not?
Yes, I do, Your Honour.
Then please ask it, Counselor.
One final question. One last retort. Magic Mirror. For the court. With all you've heard, with all you've seen, tell us who killed the evil queen.
The queen was slain. You got that right. And she was murdered by Snow White.
Order, order! I will have order! Order in this courtroom immediately!
The prosecution rests.
Jerry, your witness.
Actually, Your Honor, the defense declines to cross-examine the witness at this time. He sees everything! Everything!
Very well then, the witness is excused. Mr. Jerry, are you prepared to present the defense's case?
The defense is, preparing to mount a vigorous presentation. However...
Please call your first witness.
Actually, Your Honor, might the court entertain a very, very brief recess? I need to tinkle.
Very well. Court will resume in 5 minutes.
Okay, Jerome, deep breaths. You're a lawyer. Technically, you passed the Fairytale bar exam. Eventually. You can do this. That mirror thing was bad. Real bad. She was murdered by Snow White. Not exactly ambiguous, was it? What would a real lawyer do? Object its rhymes weren't iambic pentameter? Claim a mistrial due to excessive Gen Alpha slang? Probably not. Okay. Witnesses. Who do we have? The dwarves? After Happy's perjury party? Good luck getting any of them to say something sensible. Cinderella was nice, but she saw snow lurking with apples. What else is left? Talking squirrels? This is a disaster. A full-blown, crown jewel-encrusted disaster. Maybe I can just stand up and cry? Would that work? Appeal to their sympathies? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client is very sad, and I am very incompetent. Please let her go. Probably not a winning strategy. Maybe I can bring up the whole mistrial thing again. Ms. Stark, this is, I was just practicing my closing argument.
Contemplating your imminent defeat more likely. After the mirror's testimony, any competent defense would be drafting a plea bargain. 25 years without parole is still on the table, Jerry. A generous offer for regicide, considering the alternative is, well, considerably less pleasant and much shorter.
25 years? Really? That's an option?
It could be, should you wish to spare your client the ultimate penalty and this court further theatrics. All that's required from you, counsellor, is a formal petition and perhaps a small gesture of fealty.
What kind of gesture?
I want you to bend the knee.
They already do, don't they?
You will bend the knee to me, Jerry, publicly, for the Crown's justice, in front of the whole court. Acknowledge the overwhelming strength of our case and my place as the superior lawyer. Only then will your client be spared her inevitable fate.
You want me to kneel to you in front of everyone?
A simple acknowledgement of reality. Jerry, some find humility surprisingly liberating. Consider it 25 years, or the axe. The choice, as they say, is yours, or rather your client's, if you can convince her.
Kneel to Sansa. Admit I'm beaten? Not a chance. She can keep her 25 years, but what's left? The mirror might as well have handed the executioner his axe. I can't argue with that. I can't argue the facts. But facts aren't everything, are they? What if this case isn't about the facts at all? What if it's just about Snow White, her voice, her story, her heart? Magic mirrors can't see feelings, can they? Maybe that's what it missed. Maybe the jury just needs to feel something. Something human. Something beyond the truth. Something real.
Jerry, are you prepared to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. After everything we've heard, there's only one witness who can truly speak to the heart of this matter. The defense calls Snow White to the stand.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we've sat here together. We've listened. We've watched a strange show unfold. A trial with dwarves telling lies, magical bells, mirrors spitting rhymes. I don't blame anyone for feeling confused. I sure as hell know I am. But let's get one thing crystal clear. There's an accusation hanging over my head calling me a murderer. Y'all hear that word and your minds run wild. It's easy, isn't it, to paint a picture of me as a monster? But before you decide who I am, let me tell you who I have been. You know the name. Snow White, princess, fugitive. But I was a child once, a daughter, a girl who lost everything when the evil queen arrived. My father, my home, my future. Y'all see the fairy tale. But I lived a nightmare. I felt the sharp edges of betrayal, the cold shadows of exile. I've known fear deeper than any of you can imagine. And yes, anger. Anger so thick you can taste it. I've dreamt of revenge. Who wouldn't? But here's the difference. The real difference. Dreaming of justice ain't the same as dealing death. Anger ain't action. Resentment ain't poison. And pain does not make a murderer. The woods were my sanctuary. That wasn't an adventure. That was survival. And yes, there were days days filled with bitterness so sharp it could cut glass. Does that make me a killer? Or does it make me human? Someone pushed to the very edge. Someone who had everything taken from her. Someone who had to fight just to see another sunrise. They call me the fairest of them all, but that ain't me. That's a label someone else chose. The evil queen's envy branded me, and now this court brands me again. Do you know what that means? It means you're judged not by what you do, but by what people think you are. I've carried that weight since the day I started running for my life. It's a burden I wouldn't wish on any of you. That night at the ball, I returned to my home not to kill, not to give in to my need for revenge, but for justice, to finally face the woman who cast me out into the darkness. But my weapon was never poison. It was truth, speaking my truth to power. It was strength. Being able to stand up and tell her she didn't own me anymore. They say the mirror sees everything, that it knows everything, that it knows the truth. But is the truth always so easily packaged in the way things appear on the outside? Or is it something more, something deeper, something that a reflection, no matter how magical, can never truly capture? The mirror showed you my surface. It didn't show you my soul. Truth isn't just what your eyes witness. It's what your heart understands. Think about your own lives, your moments of fear, your moments of injustice, those times when the world was against you, when your own story was being twisted by others, told by everyone but yourself. What would you have done? What lengths would you go to, not for a crown, not for revenge, but just to breathe free, to reclaim the simple dignity of living life on your own terms? You have to decide for yourselves. What story will you believe? The one reflected in the glass? The one you hear whispered in hallways behind your back? Or the one that beats in your chest? The one that knows both the deepest winter and the unquenchable hope for spring? Because the truth is, we're all reflections, every one of us. And reflections don't show the full story. They just show us what we already believe. In the end, maybe it doesn't matter who's the fairest or who's flawed. Maybe what truly matters isn't the stories we tell, but how we choose to see each other. Sonnet, man,